What's up, cutie pies? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm on NBA 2k22 and I'm going to be having the men's NBA All-Stars go up against the women's WNBA All-Stars. If you're new to my channel, the way I do this is I go over every single player that I chose for the women's team. I look over their attributes and then I copy it down when I'm creating a player, and the only difference is it's a man. I had no clue that the WNBA did this until I was making this video, but apparently they took the USA women's team and had them go up against the best remaining All-Stars in the league, and that was their All-Star game. So I just ended up taking the top 14 players based off overall from these teams. Their highest overall is a 95 overall. They have Brittany Griner and Liz Cambridge, who are both 6'8", so that's as big as they're going to get. And they really don't have too many good guards on their team. For the NBA All-Stars team, I took every single starter and then the 4 remaining highest overall players on the reserve. The starting 5 that I came up with on my own consist of Stephen Curry, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid. The player that's going to end up being a reserve, you could probably guess it, it's Andrew Wiggins. You got to give the man some credit though, he is an all-star. I heard he's one of the top water boys in the league. I did tweak some of the in-game settings to make this game feel more like an all-star game. I increased the frequency for attempting dunks, alley-oops, and three-pointers. I turned down some of the defensive abilities because that doesn't really happen in all-star games, and I also turned all the foul frequencies down to 10. I gave the ladies a home court advantage because chances are they're going to get blown out in this game. You wouldn't think so just by watching the pre-game hype-up video. First possession of the game, not much happens, but I want to include this just to show you that later on that these guys are capable of missing. The girls, on the other hand, turn out to be more than capable of doing that. The first make of the game goes to Stephen Curry on a contested three-pointer. Then Giannis finds himself with a defender that is more than a foot shorter than him, so he just turns around and dunks it. Breanna Stewart pulls up here but gets thrown down by 2 big black men. Sounds a lot like my search history. Stephen Curry then hits a jumper in transition and it is 7-0. The Cavaliers call timeout. The girls come up with a brilliant play out of the timeout. They almost get the ball taken away and they're forced to take up a last second shot that doesn't go in. They almost got us there. LeBron turns into Shaq all of a sudden. We get our first contact dunk of the game. The ladies again are just coming up with these brilliant plays on the spot. They set up being blocked just to find an open 3. Doesn't work this time, but I like where they're going with this. The ladies again called a timeout. They haven't scored and we're about 4 minutes into the game. They do actually find an open lady in the paint, but there's Giannis. And there he is again, so that's not going to work. The ladies do get their first bucket about 4.5 minutes into the first quarter. Stephen Curry just falls asleep on defense to get an open 3 and it goes in. On the other side of things, Stephen Curry is a giant in the WNBA. He is dominating in the paint. He then finds Joel Embiid running the floor and we get another contact dunk by the boys. It was 17-3 at this point, but then the girls went on a bit of a run. It wasn't very pretty or entertaining, but they did end up scoring in one way or another. That was fun and all, but Luka decides to close a quarter by hitting the 27-footer. It's 26-9 here. We see a foul being called for the first time. There's also a really athletic high five going on in the background. Seemed like a soft call for how the frequencies are set. Even the Cavaliers coach agrees with me on that. Jokic wasn't having himself a great game. He was getting clamped up here, but at the end of the day, the NBA All-Stars have Giannis, so somehow this beauty of a shot goes in. I don't know what Jokic is doing here. He's either playing bad defense or waving to one of his Morris sons in the stands. The Cavs call another timeout and they got a great track record coming out of this. Let's see what they got. They politely give the ball to Giannis in the air and it leads to a transition 3 from Luka Doncic. Breanna Stewart actually makes a pretty good post move to get past LeBron, but LeBron just takes that away from her. We get our first alley-oop here. It's at a pretty bad angle, but to be fair, Giannis is being guarded by a god-awful TNT analyst. Jokic is out here showing off his ball handling and athleticism, which based off this footage, it reminds me of a hippopotamus with Down syndrome. Devin Booker comes into the game for the first time and he finds Giannis, who is just cutting right in front of his defender, and finishes with a dunk. Giannis gets a block here and instead of grabbing it out of the air like he's fairly capable of, he decides to throw it into the first row. It's not like the courtside fans in Cleveland really have money. Having courtside tickets to a Cleveland Cavaliers game is like having the biggest dick at a transgender camp. End of the second half, not much more to it. The ladies can't make a layup and they can't play defense. The men go into the second half with a 25-point lead. Maybe after a meeting at halftime, the coach will really get him riled up and change the game plan out there. And nope, Giannis is still out there. I haven't seen balls thrown into the stands like this since Delonte West played there. Meanwhile, Stephen Curry is out here still trying to revive his family name after being blackmailed into participating in a trivia game at the All-Star weekend.
Come on, don't hesitate. All right.
For the first time in the game, the women actually got a block, and of course it happens on a white guy. I believe that's the only one they get for the entire game, and at this point it is 1 block to the men's 9. Coming back to reality, Giannis is still out here getting contact, transition dunks, and Stephen Curry won't stop driving to the basket. To be fair, he has a 5'9" defender on him. And Giannis, I don't even know where he's coming from. He blocks a shot here. He's asking for the ball at the back end of the court, and he still ends up finishing an alley-oop that wasn't even a good pass. To end the third quarter, Giannis gets another dunk, and the ladies are still finding shots to fall like this. This game's turning into a blowout. I mean, if the ladies can go on a 30-0 run, they're in business, but I decided to just take over the controls for the fourth quarter. I'm going to use the 5 players that I think I'd have the most fun using for the rest of the game, which is Ja Morant, DeMar DeRozan, Jason Tatum, LeBron James, and Giannis at the center. Very first play, and I get a dunk. I mean, you're not going to believe this, but it's actually really easy scoring on women with the NBA All-Stars. And when it came to defense, you're not going to like this, but this is what I do. I don't care. When I play 2K on a full team, I just use the center, I sit in the paint, I go for blocks, and I got Giannis. It's gonna work. Doesn't work all the time, but if you got pogo stick and no fatigue on, you're golden. From here, I just abused my size and athleticism on offense and defense. They ran this beautiful play again where they get blocked on purpose just to find a wide open shooter, but they still can't finish it. I draw a double team here, which I find a wide open Ja Morant. I think in one game of 8-minute quarters, I have had more people dunk than the amount of women that have dunked in WNBA history. So much for equal rights. Giannis just gave this lady an equal elbow to the face and proceeded to dunk on her. LeBron gets his knees above this lady's head in the paint on this alley-oop. I thought LeBron was about to get chased down blocked on this dunk, but thankfully he was able to finish it. On this alley-oop that was finished by DeMar DeRozan, the man got up. I looked at the replay and DeMar was actually capable of stepping on this lady's head. If he would have done that, he could have finished with a honey dip or something spectacular, really giving these 100 or so fans a reason to get off their feet. They call a shooting foul on LeBron on this drive. LeBron reacted immediately, and I trust my father on the call. I challenged that immediately. Call me petty because we're up 41 points, but I don't care. There has been some lopsided officiating in this game. The call was overturned, and we come back to a lady falling for a pump fake from about 10 feet out, which leads to an easy dunk for LeBron. The score is 93-48 with a minute remaining. I hit a 3 to bring us up to 96, but I'm trying to finish with at least 100 points. I miss an open 3, so I decide to intentionally foul to stop the clock. If something ever happened like this to Juwan Howard in real life, he'd probably try to set your house on fire. I get another easy dunk with LeBron. I send the full court press, but we're not able to get the steal, so again, we're fouling. And for 100 points, I find Joel Embiid off the pick and roll for an open dunk. I tried to get another block to finish off the game, but the ladies are not that interested in playing basketball anymore. We get a shot of the fans, and most of them are already gone. At least the traffic won't be that bad. We get a post-game interview with Giannis, and let me just sum up the conversation here for you. So how are you guys able to come out with the win? We have more Y chromosomes and melanin. It's as simple as that. Did you know you can dip Oreos in milk? Wow. Racist and sexist. Back to you guys in the studio. Giannis was the player of the game. He played 29 minutes and had 16 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists, and 13 blocks. Stephen Curry was the leading scorer with 23, and that was followed by LeBron with 18. Like I said earlier, Jokic was having himself a bad game. He had 2 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 block on 1-for-4 shooting, and rightfully so. Rudy Gobert did not step foot on the court once. Diana Taurasi was the leading scorer. She played 32 minutes and had 17 points, but on 7-for-20 shooting. Nobody else on the women's team scored in double digits besides her. The men led in just about every important category besides offensive rebounds. That's probably due to the fact that they were shooting 71% from the field. The men had 18 dunks and the women had 0. They're still figuring that out, but they'll get there. That's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, dislike the video, shout out the homeless. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one.